What's up guys, Shawnee Dogs here, and before I get into anything too crazy, because there are going to be some bombs dropped in this video, all of the gameplay that you are about to see, besides this little clip of the opening trailer that they show, it is all gameplay that they have shown us from E3, actual Call of Duty World War II multiplayer. So we get a chance to see some of this stuff. Michael Condrey, the head of Sledgehammer Games, who is making this new Call of Duty, along with a few guests, released some insane information about the new Call of Duty, and I'm going to go over all of that right now. This was all during a pretty lengthy live stream that was only on Facebook, Tuesday, June 13th, so let's get straight into it. I took notes of practically every single important detail that they released that was not previously known about the game. Unfortunately, none of these clips actually have game sound, as they were talking over them, just playing them in the background. But first things first, a lot of people were complaining that there aren't going to be any swastikas or other Nazi symbols in this game. They decided to censor them out of the multiplayer and zombies, but they will actually be in the campaign. So sort of a compromise, although we won't get to see them in multiplayer, they aren't completely phased out of the game. Next, they also confirmed that tanks will be exclusive to the war game mode, so don't worry. I know I was pretty worried about that yesterday, that we would see vehicles all throughout multiplayer. They are limited to just this one game type, so if you don't want to see vehicles, you don't have to. Right before they finished that segment, they also said yes, the flamethrower is confirmed. They didn't say whether it was a kill streak or a regular weapon. I would assume it's only a regular weapon, but again, it's far too early to tell. They then proceeded to talk about headquarters, which if you don't know and you're not caught up after that first trailer that they released a few weeks ago, headquarters is this new central hub. It will take the place of like your loading screens or when you're searching for a lobby. It is a 48-man little area where you gather up, you can show each other all of your stuff. There's a lot of customization involved, and the easiest thing to compare it to on something that's already out there today is the tower in Destiny. Now, what they talked about here is you'll be able to commend other players on their performance. Now get ready, because this is where the crazy stuff starts. They mentioned that with these 47 other people that you're with, you can randomly decide to challenge one of them to a shootout in a 1v1 pit. So you can really mess around in this new thing. It is meant to be a central social hub, and you're in it. It's basically functioning as a loading screen. Now what blew my mind is that immediately after this, they mentioned it so casually, so briefly, barely even touched upon it. I'm sure every single YouTuber in the next 24 hours, their video is going to have this title, myself included. There will be no perks in Call of Duty World War II. Not a single one. That has been phased out of the game, along with Create a Class, which has been replaced by Divisions, and this really gets me worried. I'm sure the game will be great. They'll find a way to pull this off, but no perks in the game. The one thing that I think of when I hear that is I'm going to be sprinting around the map and you're going to get absolutely destroyed by lethal and tactical pieces of equipment. I don't see how they can make a counter to that if there isn't a perk system. The only thing that I'm thinking as of now, and again, it's way too early to tell or really complain about this, is that perhaps these different divisions have different resistances to these pieces of equipment. That was just the first thing that came to my mind. I'm sure you guys have some thoughts racing through your heads. Let me know down in the comments what you think, both about this situation or any other problems that might come about with there being no perks in this game. They did elaborate on the 5 divisions in the game, which are Airborne, Mountain, Infantry, Armored, and Expeditionary Force. The first one, Airborne, they said that's going to be your running gun playstyle, sort of your submachine gunners. They didn't say that specifically, but I would assume if you're running and gunning, you would want a submachine gun in your hands. They didn't touch too much on Mountain, but that's going to be your sniper class. You're going to be sitting in the back of the map, sniping with your Springfield or whatever guns they add into the game. The division that they spent some time talking about was the Armored one. If you want to go back to it, it was at around 1 minute and 23 seconds in the video when I showed gameplay of that. That is going to be your one. They said to take points in your different objective game types. You can mount LMGs to any surface. This is going to be your light machine gun class. If you want to hold down an area, this is the one for you. If you watched the multiplayer trailer for this game, which was released yesterday, I also have that on my channel. The Expeditionary Force, that's going to be your shotgun class. They said that that has armored shells, and I don't know if you saw, but there was a scene in the trailer where there was a shotgunner that turned a corner and absolutely demolished the guy with what seemed like incendiary rounds. The last division, Infantry, which the description of that is they are the tip of the spear. They did not touch on this at all. I would assume that's going to be your run-of-the-mill bread and butter infantry that are using assault rifles only because pretty much every other class of weapon was taken by the other divisions. If you paid close attention to the trailer that was released yesterday when you were watching it, you would have heard a female character's voice. They also confirmed this. There will be playable female characters in the game, which I know some people are upset about. I don't really care, it's a video game. You can choose a male or a female, it doesn't make a difference. Very little was said about the kill streaks in the game, except there was another moment in the trailer where there is a fighter plane that is swooping down, making a strafing run. They said that that will be a usable kill streak in the game. It's player controlled, it makes different strafing runs, and they said that will be available to the people that are at E3 to play there, so I'm sure you'll hear some more information about that as well. The one other score streak that they mentioned were the paratroopers. I know a lot of people saw during the trailer that there were people parachuting into battle, and they were thinking maybe you can choose like your own strategic spawn point, come down at any position in the map, but that is not the case. They said that this was actually a score streak, the paratroopers. I would compare this to the swarm. They just come down, swoop in, and destroy everything. I'm really curious to see how they implement this into the game. I can only imagine that it's a high tier score streak because it also reminds me of your AI dogs that run around the map in Call of Duty World at War. There's a bunch of them. They just run around and kill everything. So it might be the same concept here. This might be a really high tier score streak. They then made it very, very clear that you are not bound by these divisions at any means. Although they wanted to make it feel like you're enlisting in these different divisions and you take that role, you will not be stuck to them in the middle of a game. You can obviously switch between them just like you would in your normal classes in every other Call of Duty. Another very interesting point to note, they touched on, will there be advanced movement in COD World War II? Now the only thing that they said there will be no sliding, but they will have a dive present in the game. I would assume it's like the dolphin dive that we saw in Black Ops 1, I believe. But besides that, every other movement in the game, if you're not in a vehicle, consists of either walking or sprinting, and there is no unlimited sprint in the game as well. They were answering some questions in real time as they came in, as this was during a live stream, and one of the questions was, how many game types are there? Are we still going to be seeing like your classic TDM, Dom, kill confirm, things like that? Or will War be taking the place as one of those premier game modes and they'll be kicking something out? Their answer was, you're still going to see all of your classic game modes in Call of Duty. The only ones they mentioned specifically were TDM, Hardpoint, and Domination, but I can only assume that they're gonna have pretty much all of the game types that we've been seeing in other Call of Duties. War is just another addition, and that is something that they also spent some time talking about. They said that they will have custom tailored maps that are specifically designed for this War game mode. You won't see them in any other game mode. As I mentioned before, this is the only game type that will feature tanks, and you will have different objectives such as defending a bridge, escorting a tank, or destroying an 88. Two of the maps that they gave us a quick look at are Point Du Hoc, which you're seeing right now, and also the Ardennes Forest, which I showed earlier in the video. It is that snowy map. This game mode seems to me like Call of Duty is trying to think outside the box, or at least what they have been doing in previous Call of Duties. They tried out a war game mode once before in Call of Duty World at War. It didn't really last too long, but this seems very different. It seems more like Conquest from Battlefield, and although it may not seem like an original idea, it is very new for Call of Duty, and I think it could be a lot of fun. If we go back to the first Call of Duty game that Sledgehammer Games made, which was Advanced Warfare, they had a feature called the firing range where you could test out your weapons, and they had a little target practice feature where you had to shoot as many targets in the shortest amount of time possible. It was always the same, and they had leaderboards for that. They are bringing the firing range back, and from what it looks like, it will be present in this big social hub, the headquarters. I showed a clip of that at around 6 minutes into the video, and they made it a lot more social this time. The guy's using an M1 Garand, and he looks to his right, and there are a lot of other people shooting at that firing range. So I'm sure you could challenge your friends, go through it at the same time, and see who has better aim. But that was all the important stuff that was talked about during this live stream. You could definitely check that out if you want to. I don't know where they're reposting it or if they are, but I would make sure to check the Call of Duty YouTube page if you want to see the whole thing yourself. There's a lot more small talk in between. But that is going to wrap it up for this one. If you are interested on playing this game, the earliest date possible, the beta for PlayStation first comes out on August 25th. And if you are on Xbox, you will have to wait till September 1st to play the beta there. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say about the perk system and the other important points that I talked about. If you did enjoy or found the video helpful, please be sure to drop a like. And as always, Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new for some more great videos, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.